So we've got a continuation of the show today, obviously from yesterday. We're going to be continuing the discussion about the India tour, and particularly about the players that we feel were left out or were unfairly left out of the team. But this is going to be about you guys once again because I want to hear what you guys have to say and which selections you think were made that shouldn't have been made, or maybe guys that were left out of the team that you think should have gotten an opportunity in India. So that's what today's show is going to be all about. I hope you guys smash that like button and get involved with the comment section and tell me what you guys believe is the right thing and the right players and all of those things. Subscribe to the channel, of course. Click that notification bell for all future videos, please. And also, download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And also, become a patron today. That's how you help us out. Follow us on TikTok as well, guys. We'll be putting small little clips on TikTok as well for you guys to see. Basically, a little bit of highlight reels of the show. If there's a specific point that I want to make that I put out there, I will put it up on TikTok. So go follow us there too and share all our videos, please. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to discussing this with you and seeing what you guys come up with. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid. This is my co-host Aditya, and today we will be discussing who was unlucky to be left, who was unlucky not to be selected in the India's touring squad. So that's what we're going to be discussing. That's the main thing that we're going to be discussing. So I'm just going to get all the other things out of the way first and foremost. As you know, something massive happened today in the IPL. Almost record breaking, I would say. Uh, Lucknow Super Giants 210 for zero in 20 overs. It's quite a magnificent performance, I think. I mean, incredible. You never know what KKR is going to do and what they're going to bring to the table ever. So, but our teacher will probably give us some extra insight. But 140 of 70 balls, 10 fours and 10 sixes, a strike rate of 200. Quinton de Kock, take a bow. I think he listened to our show last night or the night before. We were talking about how we want him to bat through the entire innings. I'm just joking, probably not. And it was excellent to see that this is the form that we were looking for. I discussed with one of our patrons actually earlier yesterday. I'm not going to say what is. I will only say so if he gives me permission. But I was discussing it with him, and he asked me privately, "What do I think of the Cock? Should they drop him?" So I said, "No, they shouldn't. They should stick it out with him because I feel that he's someone that you stick it out with, and he'll come good again. I mean." He gets himself out more than anybody else getting him out. Or sometimes he does get a good delivery. It's very seldom that you can say that he's completely bamboozled. Majority of the time, it's a misjudged shot that leads to his wicket. Although there has been some excellent deliveries that I've seen him go out to. Like I remember, I think it was Gerald Coetzee that took his wicket in the MSL once, and it was like a phenomenal in-swinging ball that got him out to LBW. Werner's with us as well. I'm not sure if he's. Are you ready, Werner? Are you not ready? Must I wait for you? I'm gonna put you on the screen. So okay, you are here. How's it, brother? Good to see you again. Just to get everything started again for those that don't know. So basically, we've got this is the itinerary for the India T20I series versus South Africa. As we said, these are the different venues that we're going to be playing at. And Aditya gave a good summary in yesterday's video on the different venues and what we can expect from each. You also mentioned some rain that might be there in certain areas and certain dates, so we must have a look out for that. But this is the squad that we're going to be talking about now. Werner, we never got to hear your views yet on the squad. Do you just want to hop on quickly and just say quickly what you think about the squad, who you happy with in the selection, etc., and sort of what your what your best 11 would be.
I hope you guys are well. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yep, we
Like
can.
echo a bit, but I'm still trying to figure out everything around here. I've moved, but in
Oh,
terms of the squad, it's
congratulations, by the
looking.
way.
Thanks. It's looking quite strong. I would have personally rested Rabada in this series. I don't think it's necessary to overplay him and play him in this T20 series. I think we have enough other bowlers to try out. We do know that Lungi and Giri need some match fitness, some match practice. A lot of guys coming from the IPL, so the squad seems pretty strong. I think it's going to be much stronger than the squad that India will put out in terms of a first 11. India will probably bring a lot of young guys in with their main squad going to England in the meantime. But yeah, a first 11 for me, probably Timba and Quinny opening with Rassi at 3, Markram at 4, Miller 5, Stubbs 6, and Pretoria 7. And then it's going to depend on the pitch whether we play two spinners or one spinner. So if we play two spinners, then Maharaj comes in there, and then Rabada, Norkia. Oh, what's it? That's 8. It's 7 Pretorius, 8 Maharaj, 9 Rabada, 10 Norkia, 11 Shamsi. If it's a pitch for pace bowlers and not necessarily for spinners, then I'd play. Um, it's a toss up between Mark Janssen and Lungi and Giri for me. Lungi, probably the more experienced player. If you want to extend your batting lineup a little bit, maybe try
Mm.
Mark Janssen, though he hasn't gotten a lot of runs in limited overs formats yet. So I don't think it's going to make a big difference. You'd expect your top 7 to do the bulk of the work in a T20 lineup. So that's probably what I would go with.
And when it comes to Keshav, between the two spinners and having a seamer, is it Marco or him that you choose between, or him and Lungi that you choose between if you're going to play the extra spinner?
Yeah, definitely. Shamsi always plays number one spinner. So it's between Maharaj and Janssen or Ngidi. A toss up between those, in my opinion. I am personally a bit surprised that Wayne Parnell made the squad. I don't
Mm.
see him playing necessarily. I don't think he would have been one of my first choice picks. Um, but maybe they do see him as the next all rounder in line behind Pretorius. That is possible.
Mm.
Andile has fallen out of favor a little bit, though his batting has come along. His bowling has gone a little bit off the boil, so it's probably a tough one on him. But I'm not surprised. I am surprised to see Wayne Parnell. I would have loved to see somebody else as well being tried. Maybe somebody like a Fresco Adams coming in. Even Lazard Williams was pretty good in the SAA series as well as an out-and-out bowler. But very happy to see Tristan Stubbs, of course.
It's almost like South Africa. The whole of South Africa is still waiting for Jason Smith to stand up. It's like we've been waiting for 6 years now, 7 years, 8 years, actually more than that, for him to really show his true potential. Because um, every single time we do see him get that, that edge and move forward, then something he just goes back into old form again. And there's another all rounder that we could also possibly, Dayan Khalim, who's getting no game time. He probably will have to move again from the Titans, because I really thought the Titans was going to be the place that's going to change his career forever. But now with Sibs Makanya there, Sibs has really taken that spot almost in that team down the order, and not necessarily his spot, but has taken an extra spot in the batting lineup because of his performances, etc. So him coming in straight into the team as a newer guy, because obviously moving from the Dolphins, I think it was, over to the Titans. So it's something interesting that we can talk about in the future. We have some all rounders that are waiting in the wings. But this is what you guys picked on yesterday's show, just to give you guys an understanding. You guys voted for this particular team for the tour. This is your best 11. Not a lot of players of color in the team that we've discussed already. They probably will change a couple of the ones that you guys played around to fill the quota requirements. But nonetheless, very, very strong team, shows that we have some good experience. It's good that we got some good players in good positions over here going forward. I like the Tristan Stubbs selection. I honestly do think that he can be that next in line number 6 for South Africa if he can just get his groove. But let's just stop quickly and talk about South Africa. I want to talk about our big boy Quinton de Kock. What has he been doing, Aditya? You watched the game. I'm sure Werner also did. Tell us, guys, what impressed you the most about it? I mean, besides the fact that he scored so many boundaries, what was his approach this time around that maybe you think was key to his success?
I think for Quinny in this innings, that intent was there throughout. For those 20 overs, you just felt like this is your. He felt like this is his day, and he's going to cash in because he hit 10 boundaries and 10 sixes. And I think he got to 100 in the 17th over, 16th, 17th over, and he made 40 runs after that. So that tells you what a dominant innings this was. Uh, it was clinical. I mean, I think he offered that one chance when he was 12, and I'm sure that Abhijit Tomar, the KKR opening batter and fielder, probably wouldn't want to remember that for a long time. But apart from that, Quinny was clinical. I mean, he was hitting sixes that went miles, miles into the stands, and it. This is it's just one of those days where your two opening batters just simply do not relent. You know, they they take ball one to ball 120. Can you imagine? How often has that happened? A first ball to last. Uh, your opening batters take you through. I think it happened when Faf du Plessis and Shane Watson hit 181. I think against the Punjab Kings back in 2020. But in between, I don't think that's happened.
Yeah, I remember in earlier in the week or last week somewhere it was the first time ever it happened in a T20 international, and it was like I can't remember the teams. I think it was like Bahrain against somebody, but one of those associate members you don't follow too closely. But yeah, insane knock from Quinny. Um, yeah, it's good to be back, guys. It's been a while.
We
But
missed you, really.
yeah, it's been a lot of changes these last couple of weeks. So yeah, it's been insane from Quinny's point of view. I think this is the best knock I've ever seen him in a T20 innings. Just the fact that this time he didn't slow down. Usually he gets off to a great start, and then after the power play he tends to slow down, and then he gets tired and he hits out eventually. But this time he paced it well, and he just kept striking it so beautifully out of the middle of the bat. It's just one of those days where everything comes together. It felt like that Herschel Gibbs 175 or AB de Villiers' 149. I told Ashwani that's earlier on that is the same kind of vibe I got from today's knock. It's just everything comes right. When it goes to a fielder, you get dropped. When it's your turn to field, you take a blinder because that's just the type of day you are having. So it was great to see, and I think the reason why Quinny has been able to construct a knock like this is his fitness levels look a lot better for me. He always tend to get very tired halfway through by just trying to hit big shots. He gets tired and then he hits out, as I said. But he looks a lot more fit. He looks in shape. So he was still running those twos hard in the 18th, 19th, 20th over when there was the opportunity when he didn't smash it out of the ground. So that was just great to see. And I think that made a big difference. The fact that he still had that power and that energy left at that time made all the difference.
I mean, I'm looking at his innings over here, and a lot of singles, which is a good thing. I think because that's something that we were talking about that he needed to add to his game. Running between the wickets, especially when he gets bogged down a bit, he kind of gets stuck a little bit. But I mean, it doesn't matter who he played against and batted against. I mean, Saudi, wow, that hat trick of sixes that he scored against him as well. I mean, Saudi is one of the best bowlers in the world, in my opinion. And maybe not in, maybe I wouldn't say that maybe specifically in T20 cricket, but generally speaking, I think Saudi is a has brilliant control. I do think Paul tips him in T20 cricket personally. But when you compare in the New Zealanders, of course. But yeah, amazing performance from Quinton de Kock. This is the type of innings we want. Okay, not necessarily exactly like this every single time, but something similar. You want to see a balanced knock where he runs between the wickets, he's destructive. And that words that Werner said, he didn't slow down. That is very important because Quinny de Kock, we spoke about it, Aditya, on the show yesterday or the day before. He tends to slow down a little bit after he gets over that 50 run mark sometimes. Even sometimes when he's reaching into the 40s, he kind of tends to slow down a little bit, almost like he's wary of going out before that milestone. So good to see him push on. I mean, 140 in a T20 game, my lord. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say.
I, I just have to say one thing that this is, I think this is the second time in a row where we've been kind of critical of Quinny and he's responded with an unbelievable knock. The previous time was in IPL 2020 when we announced that we're going to have a Sunday podcast show, which will be called Can Quinton de Kock Be Is Quinton de Kock Droppable or something like that.
That's what I remember that show.
And he scored.
And
I
I
think he
was
scored,
the next day I was apologizing.
and he scored 75 or something like that in the next game. And obviously, Mumbai Indians went on to win the tournament. And the day before yesterday, we were talking about Quinton slowing down post power play and his issues with consistency and so on. And today he responds with 140 not out.
So,
So,
guys, the plan is in the lead up to the T20 World Cup, we roast Quinton de Kock for a week long, and
Yes.
we just row everybody up, and then he just has a stellar tournament, and we win the World Cup, and we'll take it from there.
You
I
know,
have a feeling Quinny is secretly watching this show. And
Oh,
he's taking.
Did you see that emotion he let out after
Yeah.
that knock? I think, as the commentator said as well, I've never seen that amount of emotion come out of Quinton de Kock on a cricket field, and it was so good to see. I think it's just been a lot of things building up. Him retiring from Test, that whole World Cup not kneeling saga, a lot of critique thrown his way. I think, and a lot of changes in his life, and the bubble fatigue, and the new baby,
New
and I
baby.
think it's just so much going on in his life that this is just exactly what he wanted.
yeah.
Not to mention that he had that 80 run knock. I think 80 or 54 balls that he made a couple of weeks ago. And before and after that, he's had a fairly quiet tournament. So this is that one knock where he was due to score big, and he did. Because I was there at the stadium in the last game between Lucknow and Rajasthan.
Mhm.
And so Quinton hit a good shot. It's great. He looked in good touch, and then he hit that one shot that went straight to the fielder, and you could sense his disappointment. That slow walk back to the dressing room. And you felt like there was that sense of there was fatigue or I guess a sense of frustration that he hasn't been able to kick on.
Yeah, so very happy with it so far. Hopefully this is not like the last knock that we see from him. I hope he continues it and keeps the consistency that he doesn't have. He doesn't have the consistency Quinton de Kock. He needs to get more consistent in his game. Hopefully the next game he starts smacking out 50 again. No, guys, what a performance, Quinny. Well done. We want to see this more often, of course, like everybody does. And it's really good to see our South Africans. I get very excited when our South Africans do well and really perform well. Okay, guys, let's get into
Sorry, just
oops,
one more
one
thing.
last thing.
How often does it happen that a player is batting with KL Rahul, who scored 500 runs consecutively for the last 5 seasons,
Outperforms him.
and he basically doubles his score? I think KL Rahul finished on 60
Wow.
odd, and Quinton de Kock finishes 80 runs ahead of him. That is an insane sort of comparison between two opening batters. It just shows you how dominant Quinton was today.
And the
What
teams
a
didn't go after him in the auction, right? He got like just over 6 crore. Him and David Warner, both of them
Yeah.
went for like low amounts when you think about the roles they play.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking Aditya yesterday. You were talking about that, comparing the two a little bit. Like slightly, not fully, but similar type of batting styles you'd want to see from Quinny, for example, according to the consistency that we get from David Warner. You would like to obviously see that in Quinny.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
So, okay, let's move on. Let's get. Oh shit, were you talking? I'm sorry. I, I wasn't looking at the screen. I was actually busy looking at something else quickly. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's get into let's get into today's discussion. It's an interesting one. I want to read what you guys have to say in the comments. It's very important. Guys, just put on your mics if you want to say something about it. But I think let's go through as many as we can. Um, we've got someone saying George Linder. Werner, where are you sitting currently with George Linder? Because I thought he was very hard done by to not make it in that T20 World Cup squad initially, and then not being picked in certain test series, and then again not in certain white ball games. Yes, we do have a sense that maybe he would have had a conversation with CSA saying maybe don't pick me if I'm not going to play almost because I want to play cricket as much as possible. I know that that's his personality. He wants to play as much as possible. Perhaps that was a conversation that was had, but it doesn't mean that he shouldn't be selected into teams. What does he have to do more to get there? Is it maybe the batting aspect that you're thinking? Because he hasn't necessarily shown his ability with the bat that I've seen in his earlier parts of his career.
I think he's been extremely unlucky, and I said so last year. In the fact that he wasn't picked as in the main squad for the World Cup,
Yeah.
he ended up being in the reserves after playing the whole year, then suddenly missing out to Bjorn Fortuin, who's now actually missed out on this squad. So it's an interesting turn of events. But now they're both not in it, but it's different conditions, and we've seen not a lot of turns so far in the IPL. There's been some pitches that suit them, but it's been mostly the wrist spinners who are effective. But I think George is pretty unlucky not to make more squads. I understood the test match one for New Zealand and him asking to rather play in the CSA T20 challenge. That made sense to me because he was probably never going to play a game there. Now he's playing county cricket, so it also makes sense that he's not in the squad right now because he's playing county cricket. He already has a contract there, so he wasn't going to jump out of that one right now. So I didn't expect him to make this squad, but I think in general he should be in and around the squad because he brings an all-round game. He is good. He can bowl well in the power play through the middle, and he is a destructive batter on his day. We saw that in the Pakistan series, I believe, here at home. He was also used at number 3 a couple of times, and he showed that he can hit the big shots. He's shown that at Virpia as well. He's struck a century now against the Sri Lanka Invitational side, I think, or along those lines. So his batting is improving all the time, and I think he is definitely good enough to make himself or make the side just based on the all-round value that he brings, because he brings a lot more with the bat than Shamsi, of course, and even a bit more than Maharaj brings. Maharaj is a good batter, and we saw how valuable he was in the Test series with the bat, but he's not going to come in and strike big sixes immediately like Linda can. So I'd still want to see him in and around the squad.
Yeah, I think when it comes to range eating, definitely George Linder should take that accolade. I think between the two of them. But Aditya, do you think that maybe it's not him being out of South Africa's plans and being unlucky to be selected? Maybe it is what Werner's saying, that it's maybe the county, the fact that he was playing for the county, he's playing county cricket at the moment. That maybe why he wasn't in contention. Pretty sure. I'm not pretty sure actually. I would think that at least Victor Mputsang is having conversations with these fringe players consistently, asking them about their availability, and doesn't make another mistake like he made with David Bellingham.
Yeah, definitely. And perhaps there has to be some sort of conversation about the likelihood of him featuring in the 11, right? Because I think it's quite frustrating when when you spend too much time warming the benches. I don't think that's particularly healthy for a player. And George Linder, obviously, there is that grievance of not being picked in the World Cup, despite being a first choice player for a while before that. So I'm sure that's going on in that. But yeah, I mean, George Linder would have been an asset to the team, because we talked yesterday about playing two spinners. So you play two spinners with one who can bat like George Linder, and you've got a pretty strong team there.
Yeah. Um, Werner, you've been keeping an eye out on. I'm hoping I'm throwing you under the bus if if it's not the case, but on the county scene, Who are some of the South Africans that have been performing that you think would be in a South African side with regards to maybe in the future that's maybe not in the setup currently?
I would say David Bellingham, but I think that kite has flied
Yeah.
or flown. What's the right word? But I'm not. I'm not. They haven't really outperformed anyone in the County Eastern so far this season. It's not been very long. Keegan Peterson is just starting to find his feet now. He made a 70 odd in the last game. In terms of the bowlers, no one has really been standing out that much so far. Vian Mulder has been decent with the ball, but with the bat, he's still frustrating me. Still making those 30s, those pretty 30s, and then getting out type of thing. He should be dominating that level. He's playing Division 2 county cricket right now. He should be making 80s, 100s to try and get his spot cemented in the South African team, but he's not doing that right now. And that's what he needs to do, because if he sees himself as a batting all-rounder and that's the role he wants to play for the Proteas, then he needs to do it at that level. So I do expect Marco Jansen to come straight back in for him in the next Test series against England. But yeah, so the South Africans, I think Tim Delace is probably the best
Yeah.
guy to ask about the county scene, but none that have genuinely stood out with hundreds or fifers or stuff like that. Bjorn Hendricks has been working on his batting, so he's holding it out down there at number 11, batting 50 balls, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna actually contact Tim and actually ask him if we can do a little county watch with us, Aditya. Maybe it'll be excellent to actually have a conversation with him. Werner, you can also join the show as well. Let's go. Let's move on. The squad is actually quite good. There isn't actually anyone who was unlucky, but you could maybe say Pechelquayo because he has been in good form lately, or maybe Libba. You know, it's interesting that the one time that Pechelquayo actually had a great build up, to a particular event or series, he hasn't been selected. At times when he has been in poor form, he has been selected. So it is quite weird. But Libba, I do feel sorry for, because he's probably had one of the best seasons of his career, I think, across formats for the Warriors. Um, and he's really stood up as one of the main players for that side, a superstar player for that side. And his ability with the ball, I thought that he might possibly, maybe, even though I asked for Stubbs, I think he could have maybe tipped Stubbs in a position in this team, because I feel that, and from what we've heard from him on our show as well, he spoke about not minding where he bats from 1 to 6. He feels that he can bat anywhere in that region and really put on and really adapt his game. We know the Proteas have played him higher up when they've given him an opportunity, which was a shock for all of us at first, because we were like, why are you playing him there? He should be lower down, maybe as a finisher in the side. But when I watched him for MSL teams, when I watched him for the Warriors recently, especially, he's batted up the order. So maybe maybe I'm looking at the wrong person to replace him with. It's perhaps that Aiden Markham role that we are looking for, or maybe one higher for someone like Vian Libba. When it comes to Vian and Pechelquayo, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you feel that they were unlucky to not make the side?
Um, Pickleball, it's unfortunate because, as you said, he's had a good build up to the series and he hasn't gotten selected, so that's a bit unfortunate there. Uh, but I think in a series in India, you should be prioritizing your spin options, and again, it's just not healthy for players to be sort of in and out of that playing 11 all the time. That's that's not ideal for anyone. So it's unfortunate for the two of them, but I think I can also recognize that the score that has been picked is good enough.
I think the thing is the squad can only be that big, and the question is which two players would you drop out of the squad to make room for them. Um, so if you're picking Pechelquayo, you're probably dropping Parnau. I could still see that happening. But Libba, who are you going to drop? Maybe Reza Hendricks, but Reza Hendricks has been in excellent form in domestic cricket and now in the SAA series. He outperformed Vian Lubbe. So I'm not surprised that they didn't make it, but if they continue to put in good performances, they will get their shots again.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I would have rather went with someone like Andile, someone younger than going with Wayne Parnell. Because if Wayne Parnell's not going to be a starter in this team, I don't see the point in him being part of the squad. Um, you can talk about experience, maybe. You can maybe talk about the fact that he's a left arm and he can do three different types. He's a very good player all around. He's a leader as well as a batter and as well as a bowler. But to me personally, I rather would have gone with someone younger, in my opinion. But yeah, Wayne has been favoured since he's been back into the setup immediately. Actually, before he barely had a run in. Okay, I'm lying. Actually, he played the T20 Cup, and after that T20 knockout, he really had a good tournament, and that was enough for Victor and the selectors. Okay, let's move on. We've got Pratik saying that Faf, Rousseau, Brevis, Linda unlucky to miss out. Let's talk about Faf, Rousseau, and because Brevis is a separate issue altogether. I think Faf, Rousseau fall into a similar bracket. Experienced guys, played around the world. Faf, former captain, obviously playing really well in the IPL. Are they unlucky to miss out, or did we almost know what was coming with regards to them? Because I don't count them as unlucky to miss out, because I feel that they weren't really necessarily in the picture with regards to the selectors. They never ever actually showed any hint at selecting these two. Berna, you want to go first? Oh, Aditya, whoever.
Yeah, I don't know if they're part of the conversation in the first place, right? I don't think any of us expected, Fafa Russo to be part of the squad. Assuming that they're in the mix for the World Cup, they probably get selected, right before that. Is there a series right before the World Cup? T20 series?
There should be. We should be. I know we're playing England in all formats after India.
Okay.
I'm wondering, India is still going to come to South Africa for the T20 series. They didn't play here.
I don't think so. I think this replaces it. I don't think they're going to.
No, because this T20 series was always on the cards because of the last India's
The
series we went to India
2021.
didn't play.
The 2021, right? March 2021.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if there isn't still a possibility that they might organize another series against India here ahead of the T20 World Cup.
What about Australia, though? I mean, there was a couple of. When did we play Australia?
Australia in December.
In December. Okay.
And
I just wanted to know when
January,
that run was.
And then they decided to schedule the T20 series in South Africa in January, and now it's probably going to clash a bit. And just again miss out on a few premier players not playing the first half. All the great admin they do there at CSA.
Wow. Coming on, I guess. Straight out, back again. I can see you back again. So, yeah, interesting points. Let's talk about Dewald. He's going to come up. For me personally, I think a round of 4-star cricket won't do him any harm, personally. There are still some things in his game that is not complete. I mean, I believe personally that Stubbs is a lot more comfortable with his own game than Dewald is. I think with regards to his entire game, Dewald is full of confidence, and I think that confidence has been carrying him. His self-belief and confidence is unbelievable. But as soon as I feel that some senior players start to figure out his mistakes, it might be easier for them to do so with the Dewald Brevis than with the Tristan Stubbs, I feel personally. Now, Tristan's been a little bit unlucky in his first two games. We're hoping that he can turn it on a little bit later, and this is not the end of him, that we see him again. But your thoughts, Aditya, first. I mean, you did talk about Brevis on the previous shows, but I think a little bit too young, not necessarily young by age, but rather than young by by just approach and understanding his full game plan and be able to adapt it, of course, to different situations.
Look, personally, I would have played Brevis in the squad because I think he'd get more out of it than perhaps Quinton de Kock will. And that's why I'd suggested previously that maybe Quinton should be rested for this tour. He's already been in a bubble for 2 months, and we know that the longer Quinton spends in bubbles, the more frustrated he probably gets. And like Quinny has nothing to prove. There's no doubt that he's going to be opening the batting for South Africa in the World Cup. And I also understand that Brevis is not the finished product. He would know that as well. But think about it. How much does he have to gain from an international tour to India, whether he plays in the 11 or not? I think he'd gain, like you say, Khalid. There are certain tours where a younger player would benefit more from playing as opposed to an older established player. And I think this is one of those cases where I think Brevis at number 3 and have Riza and Temba opening the batting. I think that might be more beneficial for Brevis and for South Africa in the long run compared to having Quinny in the team for that series and not play Brevis at all.
Interesting. Because I mean, the only reason I would say that is because he's now experienced India. Like IPL, playing there conditions wise. Like I think maybe he could teach the squad a lot more about the situation currently than some of the other players over there. How much is experienced in such a short period of time with the amount of people and the caliber of people that are in that dressing room with him.
Exactly, and the thing is, he's in the time that sure he's played a few games, and then he's not played a few games also. But in that time, he's not chilling. He's practicing. He's working on his temperament, and I mean, he's working on his technique. And all the challenges that we think he's going to face in the future. That stuff is, I'm sure that they figured it out, and he's probably started working on them long before we even identified them. So, let's not assume that Dewal has these weaknesses in his game, but he's sitting around just thinking about them at the moment and not doing anything to fix it. This time that he's not spent the last couple of weeks, he's probably been doing that. He has more analysts and experts and legends around him than we can even imagine. So that's
well. Aditya, what is happening in the game? There's 3 runs needed of 2 balls.
yes.
3 of 2. Yeah. 4,
Oh, my
6,
Lord.
6. They needed 38 of the last 2 overs.
Rinku Singh is currently on 40 or 14.
This is incredible. My dad's probably celebrating inside. He loves good cricket. Like he just likes his tight games.
Yeah.
That's why he watches the IPL. My dad watches more IPL cricket than me, actually.
We haven't had a super over this year, right?
Yes, we haven't.
Ooh,
So a good time.
This is
3 of
insane,
2.
guys. I have to change
think-
the entire angle of the story.
That
Quinton de Kock still stays my headline, though.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. We have a show to run, guys. We're getting distracted by other things. Players who should have. Okay, we've already mentioned. But there's one extra name that was mentioned over here. Werner, what's your thoughts on Harmer? I mean, for me, I didn't put him into the category for T20s. I can understand his selection in tests fully, but not so much for me in T20s. He's never really jumped out to me in T20 cricket consistently. There's been seasons here and there where he's done excellently, like the Warriors back in the day, and I haven't really seen him. I don't remember any of his performances necessarily in the T20s. Did he play even? I can't remember. But in the past, I've seen, there's been some MSL performances as well that he's that he's been okay. I mean, I remember with the Josie Stars, he was there and he did some excellent work. What's your thoughts on Armour with regards to this T20? I think he's far behind in the picking order when it comes to spinners in T20 cricket in South Africa.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even have considered him at all. He was, I don't think he played like one or two matches for the Titans in the CSA T20 challenge. He was barely used there either. So it's not surprising to me at all that he was, yeah, that was a great catch. That he didn't play in that series. So it's not surprising to me. I'm surprised to hear his name here mentioned in the same sentence, actually. Faf, I would play every day in T20s and ODIs, but that's just, it seems like that ship has sailed as well. So that's probably not going to happen. I'd love to see him opening with Quinny, but what are we going to do? The selectors have decided no, they're not going back to that option.
Okay.
If you think about it, there's actually no better combination in world cricket than Faf and Quinny to open the batting in Australia, like specifically Australia. Given the nature of the wickets and the fact that a lot of it is going to be batting friendly and um, and that it tests all.
And they record against Australia, both of them.
Sorry.
Both of them have good performances against Australia. They love playing against Australia too.
I mean, it's like, he brings out his A+ game against Australia.
Just a reminder, the whole World Cup is not going to be played against Australia.
In Australia.
It's going to be played in Australia, but not against Australia. But
But even his record in Australia is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. Miller's record in Australia is great as well. I still remember that insane partnership between him and Faf years back there as well. So it's a great hunting ground for him as well. And I think Aiden Markram is going to be tailor-made for those type of bouncy pitches. He's going to love it there. So I think all in all, our batting looks pretty much in order for the World Cup.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get one of you guys to move. Let's move on to. Oh, here we go. We've got Lorenzo. He says Liber Ferreira. Yanaman. Oh, Yanaman. I completely. How can I forget about him? Those are the X Factor players who will win you games. What's your thoughts on that? Let's start with you, Vern, and then move on to Aditya. We've spoken about Liber, but you haven't really spoken too much about Liber.
Yeah, I like Liber. He played a different type of role this season for the Warriors opening. Even in the T20s down there at St. George's, he didn't bat particularly quickly. He batted long, he batted deep, he made a lot of runs, but his strike rate was about a 120 odd. So it was a different type of role, and I don't think there's an opening slot available for either him or Janneman in the T20 right now. It's between Quinny, Hendricks, and Bavuma, and I would open with Bavuma and Quinny personally. So that's already three guys, and technically Markram as well, though he is now cemented his spot as a number 4 player. But so I don't think there's any room for openers right now in the squad. Donovan Ferreira, however, I see Aditya's very excited about what's going on in the game. Donovan Ferreira, I enjoy.
What happened? Is it done?
Stoinis bowled a Yorker to dismiss Umesh Yadav off the last ball, and they win by 2 runs. Super
awesome.
Giants. So KKR are out of the IPL, and that slightly improves Sunrise's chances. They need a lot of things to go their way. A lot of teams are on 12 points. But in any case, so Donovan Ferreira, I like his game. He's very destructive. I think he can play a similar type of role to Stubbs going forward. He still has a few things to work on. He's not quite the finished article yet. But I just love the way he goes about things. He comes in and he bosses it. He's almost a Tim David style of batter. He's not as effective yet. And he does prefer his areas, but he has immense power, and he's shown what he can do, and I do think he's definitely one for the future. I hope actually that the Titans give him a contract this season. I know he hasn't had a contract up to now, and he's still doing his job, and then asking for leave, and then go playing in the T20 or a one-day cup. So I just love for the Titans to offer him a full-time contract so that because I mean, how much better will he be if this is what his full time focus is?
True. There's a flip side to that maybe. What if he does start focusing fully on this, and maybe maybe because he's not focusing so much on it, he's playing with more freedom. I don't know. Maybe we don't know. We never know that. But that's an excellent point, Werner. Yanaman Aditya. First and foremost, are you surprised that he's never gotten an IPL gig yet? Second of all, what about Yanaman? I feel a bit sad about it because he was at the time we were all saying Yanaman Quinny. And also when him and Quinny started opening the batting for the Blitz as well, we were like, this definitely must be the Proteas opening partnership. What's your thoughts on Yanaman?
To answer your first question, uh, it's unfortunate that he hasn't got an IPL contract yet, and I'm sure that he's on the radar of a lot of franchises. It's just a matter of what they need and when, right? Um, so that's one thing. Look, I think Yanuman is a fantastic player, and he certainly deserves to be in that T20 team. But I think at the moment that top six is pretty crowded. There's not a lot of wiggle room there, and I guess Yanuman, as long as he's delivering those performances and making sure that he's knocking that door, when the opportunity comes, he'll get it. But at the moment, I think it's just too crowded. Who do you actually take out of that team? To fit him in.
Interesting points over there. Let's move on. Okay, we've got John saying Brevis is a wet under the ears or behind the ears. I don't understand why people think he's unlucky to miss out. Lawrence saying can't say anyone's lucky really. This T20 squad is one I kind of predicted. All of the guys in there are on merit. Some had a good domestic form, and then you have your established players, of course. It is a very well balanced side, I must say. I do. This is I agree with. I do think that Bjorn Fortuin is unlucky. I mean, me personally, Bjorn is a championship mindset. He doesn't shy away from fights, from the fight, from adversity, from anything. He always steps up when he's most needed. And his track record in finals is excellent. Like he's always stepped up in crunch moments. I'm going back to the time when he needed when the Lions needed him to score runs to win a game in a 4-day competition, and he goes and scores 180 odd with Delano Potgieter to win that match, and also on top of it win the 4-day series. The Cobras were basically in the driving seat to do so, and he's basically stole it out of them stole it out of the grass, out of their grasps instantly. It was an excellent performance from him in that particular arena. We saw what he's done for the Paul Rocks on many occasions. I mean, he's been one of the best players in the Paul Rocks in the MSL as a spinner. We've seen him do it for the Lions on many occasions too. Look what he did in the One Day Cup. It doesn't matter whether it's bat, ball, or in the field. We saw in the Proteas, for the Proteas as well, he's done it. He's been asked to open the bowling. He adjusted and he did it in the most precious situations. He's done it. And I think that is very impressive. And I think that championship mindset we should not overlook. That's something you need in a squad. And I think for me, he is a bit unlucky to miss out. But then it can only be for the vice captain, Keshav, that he gets selected, in my opinion, when you look at the rest of the team, unless you're going to take an extra spinner with you. So, what do you feel Bjorn has to do to finally get and cement his spot? Is it more wickets? What is it? You're both looking down at your phone.
And I think Bjorn Fortuin is unlucky. Um, he's done anything he could while he played. He's done very well. He's done very well at the Lions. He also had that great innings now in the Momentum One Day Cup final as well with Reza Hendricks, getting them over the line with the bat. And he's very handy with the ball, especially in the power play. It's a very handy option to have a spinner who can bowl well in the power play. It's something that Washington Sundar does well often in the IPL. So that's a very good option to have. And I don't think Keshav or Shamsi are really necessarily power play options. And it was surprising to me last year that Keshav suddenly leaped in front of both Bjorn Fortuyn and George Linde. Though Keshav Maharaj is a great bowler, it was just surprised the sudden jump, and I think it was down to they needed a captain at that stage because Temba Bavuma got injured, and so he became captain immediately. He came in and became captain, and then so now he's held his spot as a vice captain, and we even saw in the was it the India series where Keshav Maharaj played ahead of Shamsi in one of the games. Shamsi didn't
Yeah.
even play, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Shamsi's our number one spinner in limited overs format. I love Keshav and I think he's a great bowler, but he's not our number one bowler. Shamsi is in the limited overs format. A mystery wrist spinner will always be more of a threat in this format than a normal finger spinner is. So the whole situation, it was a bit strange to me. I understand he's a leader, and now he's been made the vice captain. So he's kind of been made undroppable now, which is, I think, a problem. Nobody should be in a role where they're totally undroppable.
Sorry, this was earlier on, but Quinton Kock will now pop up with $1,000 super chat. So chat stream. Please, Quinny. That will change our lives.
Nah, come on, Quinny, you can do 5,000. You know,
Yeah.
you've got 6.25 crores in the bank there.
He can just ask Umran Malik, who wins 20,000 Rand every match just for being the quickest bowler.
Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired.
I'm sure Quinny will he'll get a lot more money, yeah, you know, when he's announced man of the match or whatever.
Yeah,
You
how
know,
many
and-
awards is he going to get tonight? Because
Oh.
he's hit the most sixes, probably the power player, the player of the match. He's probably going to get 4 or 5 awards tonight, and each one I think is like 20,000 Rand. If he gets 5, that's 100,000 Rand just for tonight's game.
Give that all to Cricket Fanatics magazine.
Yeah,
You know,
Quinny, come on now.
performed
If you
because of us.
apparently you're watching the show, so come on, donate. Sponsor our England tour. Okay, so let's move down. I want to see some extra names here, maybe that I missed. Dane Patterson is actually ripping it up in the county scene at the moment. Yes, I saw that. Uh, oh Lord, I don't even want to read that out. Okay, that's for chat only. Let's move on. I'm seeing a little bit of Janssen over here. I think Boucher is the one gunning for Parnell. Actually, Bouch also knows him really well as they played together before Bouch got injury. It's possible, eh? It is possible that Bouch could be the one that is talking. Boucher likes his experience, and when his experience are performing well, he doesn't tend to shy away from picking them. Look here, maybe that we are being a little bit harsh on Parnell just purely because of his age. Maybe also because we've always been kind of similar, all of us, with regards to giving people opportunities that are younger than are performing. I mean, Parnell has put on the numbers. If it was a younger player doing the same thing, or a 25-year-old doing the same stuff that Wayne Parnell is doing currently in domestic cricket, I'm pretty sure a lot of us would have been talking about him maybe being selected in the team if it was a guy that was younger, maybe. I think we expect, because he's old and experienced, a lot more from him because of that, you know. And that's maybe something that we can talk about. I don't want to go into Parnell again. I want to see if there's anybody else mentioned over here that we haven't necessarily mentioned.
Just
Did you
one
see
other thing
anybody?
about Parnell though, is that maybe he's in the squad because it's possible that he won't make the 11 here. You know, it may be wiser to play a spinner, but he may be in the squad in the longer scheme of things when they play in Australia, because Parnell can be a real asset for South Africa and Australia, where they don't necessarily have to play with 2 specialist spinners.
And also control-wise, as a bowler, control-wise, and when you compare him to Janssen, I'm not saying that he's better than Janssen, but what I'm saying is the control and the experience that Parnell has with the ball could be very important in that conditions. I feel that Janssen will still need some time to get used to his Australia. You know, he needs to maybe pull back a little because the bounce is incredible. So he might go for a couple of five runs over here in the game.
You should
buys
not
and
pull back. If he
boundaries.
pulls out any shorter, it's going to go over two keepers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll keep. You know what I mean. He needs to maybe go a little fuller when it comes to these conditions. I think if Marco can control his lengths like at will, it will change his game. You'll become such a devastating bowler because he can trap you when he needs to, and he can also bait you into shots. If he can find that balance and control, which I'm sure he will, it will be excellent. We've got some guys over here saying Subs Makanya. I think Subs Makanya was unlucky to not make the SAA side. I'm not so sure about maybe talking about him for this particular team, but the SAA side 100%. It was a massive snub in my opinion. And Lizzie Williams. I think Lazal Williams. Oh my lord, can I go? Lazard.
Does he wear an earring?
Tomorrow he's gonna. If he sees this, I'm in shit. Lazard Williams. For me personally, I've been so impressed with the way he's taken the next step. It doesn't seem like international cricket has bothered him in that way from a nerves perspective. It's almost like he looks at home there. Now, yes, there's improvements that need to be made. There's certain things that he can maybe do to tinker his game a little bit and really learn to become a powerhouse in T20 cricket. But unfortunately, South Africa is sitting in a situation where we've got Lungi Ngidi, Kagiso Rabada, and Andrich Nokia, who are world-renowned fast bowlers that have been playing in leagues around the world, which is something that Lizzie hasn't had an opportunity to do yet. So yeah, I am a bit sad for Lazard Williams because he's put in the hard yards and done really well for South Africa in the games that he has played. But unfortunately, we do have a very good bowling attack, and it's good to have people like him um, knocking on the door. What's your thoughts on Lazard? Because we haven't really fully touched on him.
As Werner had mentioned earlier on the show, KG should probably be rested from this tour, and I agree with that. And Lazard Williams would be a good option to replace him. Again, it's the same explanation there, right? As it was with Brevis, that KG has toured India before. He knows the conditions, he knows what to expect. Lazard Williams will get more out of the experience than KG will. So to me, that would be my reasoning.
So you were more in the party of giving some people opportunities, maybe then on this tour, rather than keeping the momentum up and playing your best team every game.
Yeah, for two reasons. One is that South Africa obviously have to be planning ahead for the World Cup, and secondly, India is not going to be fielding their full strength team.
Oh, okay.
For a wide variety of reasons, they'll have to field a reasonably strong team, but they can't field their full strength team. That won't be possible. Like
Okay,
logistically, it won't be possible.
Werner, do you agree with Aditya or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I think I said earlier that India won't be playing a full strength side because a lot of them will already be going to England ahead of the Test series. They're just probably finishing that one Test series, that one Test match. So a lot of them will be going there already. So I don't think Sharma is going to play or Virat Kohli is going to play. Probably not Bumrah. They're probably going to give a lot of these youngsters who are doing well in the IPL right now some opportunities. So I hoped that we would give one or two guys opportunities, not too many. I'm happy that Stubbs is there. I would have given Lazard Williams a chance. Who else? It's there's not a lot of guys that say that definitely stick out, but maybe somebody like Leber that we discussed. A few guys that could have potentially been given opportunities. But it's a tight one with the World Cup. Again, not that far out. We're not playing a lot of T20 series leading up to it. So I guess they want some continuity, get some winning momentum behind them. So yeah, I'm not too surprised with the squad. But I would have liked them to rest KG. I think he's gotten a lot of overs on the belt. He's been now at the IPL playing every single match, being the star performer for Punjab. So I would have preferred him coming back, having a bit of a rest ahead of the England tour. But no, maybe he doesn't want to rest. I don't know how he feels. Some bowlers enjoy the big workloads. They feel that they need to bowl a lot to stay in rhythm. I think somebody like Andrich Nortje might need that type of overs under his belt coming back from injury. And I think Lungi and Giri, man, I feel for the guy because he has not been playing a lot because he has been injured. Then he has been left out of the IPL teams. Then he's been injured again. Then he's played a game here and there. Then he's sat out again. It's been a bit of a tough road for him in this last couple of years. So I actually hope he gets quite a few games in this series against India.
Yeah.
Hopefully at least 3 games to just get back into things again, get some rhythm going. Because I'm sure he's been doing a lot of training and fitness training and stuff, a lot of bowling in the nets. But for 2 months in the IPL, you're just basically a net bowler, and that can't be too great. So I hope he'll get a lot of time in this series coming up.
Yeah, guys, I think we've given you a explanation for almost every single player that we feel missed out or was unlucky, and we've given you reasons for why and why not. But I think what's needed right now is just a little bit of a celebration once again. This video will never get old for me, and yeah, to celebrate 20. I mean, this will get old for me. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Yes, Brenna?
Aditya, the translation for that last part of the song is as business in front and party at the back.
Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really had fun tonight. Thanks a lot, Werner. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on the show. Don't forget to download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Become a patron today. We're hoping that De Kock will become a patron today. Please click on the link as well as in the description. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all updates. Aditya actually wrote a story about Quinton de Kock's knock. There's the highlights in the piece as well. So go ahead and watch that and go look at the story that we did put up on cricketfanaticsmag.com. But to all those guys, if that button is red and you're new to this channel, please click subscribe. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace.